Hi, everyone. So today's session is, as oftentimes is the case, comes from my own direct experience as I stumble through the chaos of my life. So I'm pretty jet lagged. Got back, late last night. Almost didn't make it home because there's an airline strike and all that fun stuff. But I did make it home. And today's a full-on clinic day, and I woke up and was getting ready to head into the Marin Clinic, only to find out that actually I was scheduled to be up in the Windsor Clinic. So, for whatever reasons, I don't know, I didn't see it, read it properly on my calendar, and so was running late, trying to coordinate with the patient, just let him know that I was running late, and then ended up on a phone call, um, and the phone call was pretty intense while I was driving, and suddenly found myself. I was like looking at the road, going Geyserville. Like Geyserville seems pretty far north, only to realize I completely missed my exit to the Windsor Clinic and had to backtrack. And it was, once I sort of got a hold of myself, it was humorous, but at first it was pretty. It was one of these classic things where I was just running too fast and wasn't paying attention, and it just made me think of one of my favorite sayings is slow is smooth and smooth is fast. And I was like the embodiment of what happens when you don't do that. And anyway, so if maybe think of this quote here, this Robert Sapolsky, he's one of my heroes in this sort of neuroscience space and brain activity and how it relates. And his specialty is stress. He has this cool quote here: stress compromises the brain's prefrontal cortex, leading to a loss of executive function, emotional control, and decision making capacity. It shifts the brain from rational long term thinking to emotional, self protective, and habitual responses. I would even insert, change that last word just to habitual reactions. Um, and yeah, again, I was very much a case study in that happening. And so the irony is, as we get stressed out and everything speeds up and we're trying to multitask and do too many things, ironically, we're sort of self-sabotaging ourselves, because what we really need in that situation is actually to slow everything down. And hence, the why I like this saying so much. Like, if we can slow things down, work one problem at a time, then things become much smoother. And then ironically, that smoothness speeds things up because you don't make mistakes. In my case, I don't know how many miles past my exit until I realized I was so checked out of paying attention to, where I was going and what I was supposed to be doing, that ended up costing me way more time and way more stress than had I slowed things down to begin with. So my guess is we're all familiar with that, right? We get stressed out and our brain starts racing, and then we start missing some of the details. Yeah, we kind of sabotage ourselves in doing so. The catch here is being aware, or having the self-awareness that when we're in that situation, that we're starting to fall into this sort of hyper speedy mode where we start making mistakes. So the key is obviously to catch ourselves before we start making those mistakes and really realizing, like, wow, I'm really compromised right now. I'm tired, I'm distracted, I'm not paying attention, and I'm pretty likely to make mistakes and make my own life a whole lot more bumpy. So let's spend some time exploring how that works in each of our lives, and see if we can, yeah, just gain a little more awareness and familiarity with that process. So start by closing your eyes. And just taking inventory of what's the state of your mind right now. You're not trying to change anything, you're just noticing. Like, is it fast, calm, is it frenetic, distracted? So just slowing down for a minute here to notice what's actually happening in this moment. And usually when the mind speeds up, it also activates all kinds of crazy stuff in the body, right? The adrenaline, the cortisol, heart rate, butterflies in the belly. And if you're not experiencing that right now, let's do this thought experiment. So just think back to a time where you can relate to all the stuff that I just described to you. You know, you're running late to an appointment or a meeting. Maybe you get a call from school that something's up with one of the kids, or a call from work, or someone who's distressed. And now you notice things speeding up. There's just too many red blinking lights that need attention. See if you can drop back into that experience. There's all these things happening, and see if you can become aware of the toll that it's taking on your mental self, your emotional self, your physical self. Like everything just gets speedier, more jaggedy. And the paradox, of course, is the very thing that would help us manage whatever that situation is better. It's probably the first thing that goes out the window. So we find ourselves in this speedy, kind of confused space, trying to do lots of things at once. So the first step is just self awareness. It's being able to catch that state sooner rather than later. On the memory that you're in right now, if you can pinpoint either the time when you noticed yourself all sped up and frantic, and how long did it take for you to actually notice that? Noticing how the brain creates this kind of illusion that, okay, if I speed up and I try to do all of these things at once, then I'll get them all done. And then there's this point where we realize that actually that the opposite is happening. Miscommunicating. My tone of voice gets curt, snappy, and I start talking to other people in a way that is not conducive to their well-being or mine. And see if you can notice some of the mistakes that are being made now. And are those actions or those mistakes, are they actually helpful, or are they detrimental to getting all the important stuff done one at a time? And if you could go back in time, back into that situation, what would it take for you to remember that slow is smooth and smooth is fast? Maybe it's pulling over by the side of the road just to collect yourself, It's finding a place to just sit down for 30 seconds and close your eyes, focus on breath. What stops us from remembering that or noticing? And then, most importantly, again, if you could go back in time into that situation, what would the benefit have been of being able to slow down, getting a grip on all of the mental distractions? How might you have approached that situation differently so you'd had the space and the wherewithal to do what we're talking about right now? And what are situations in your life right now, or maybe thinking about the stressors that might come up or that might help you to just think about that situation ahead of time and remember to slow down, keep your wits about you, not let the situation run you. And take a deep breath in, slow breath out of the mouth, relaxing the hands, the belly. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and in, out. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's do one more. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Open your eyes, come on back. Gosh, even just doing those 3 rounds of breath and just slowing down and doing the session with you guys feels like it completely changes it's like a reset, you know? It's like, okay, I get to start over again. I don't need to keep making bad decisions. So hope that was helpful. Have an awesome weekend, everyone. And also just remembered it's Friday the 13th. I'm not a superstitious guy, but maybe I ought to reconsider, rethink that. So great weekend, everyone.